tell my kids, dude. Your words are hollow, my dude.
I'm on a mission to win. I ain't gonna say it again, bruh.
Good comeback, man. After all that Carl's Jr. slaughtered last year.
They don't know what to call that. When they see me, they all fall back because I'm on a mission to win. I'm on a mission to win. I ain't gonna say it again, bruh. I'm gonna all the way in.
But overall, I like it. Go get him, Bogey Best. Gosh,
The In This League Podcast Network.
What's up, friendos, and welcome into the In This League Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am the Welsh. That is the Bogman. And this is In This League MLB Trade Deadline. We're actually live special on the YouTube, which we do not utilize enough because we are just bad people, bad friends, whatever you want to call it. But we are live on the YouTube hanging out. We got the Patreon people hanging out here, just live on the YouTube in general, where we are going to be breaking down some of the trade deadline. We are live for people to drop any reactions, things we can react to. There's so many activities, so many things to get into. But before we do, we want to remind that, there are some people that are above others. And those are the people that are part of the ITL Patreon, like Kyle here, like Kyle and Clint, who are in the chat right now. Don't want to say they're better than you, but they are part of the Patreon. And they signed up at inthisleague.com, where you can do the same thing. Inthisleague.com, where top 500 prospects live, top 400 in Dynasty. Got first-year players and a bunch of other stuff. The group me rooms where people are hanging. Come and join up today. Support your boys at inthisleague.com. Inthisleague.com means the world. We appreciate you. We are here to be talking about all the trades. There were a ton of them. Of course, none bigger to start the show than the Diamondbacks acquiring Lars Nootbaar at the trade deadline. The Newt finally is a Diamondback. My guy, Lars Nootbaar. I mean, the Diamondbacks, sure, they had needs. Closer, middle relief, starting pitcher, first base, maybe backup catcher. But they went and got the thing that they really needed, and that was Lars Nootbaar. They got another left-handed outfielder. The most important thing you could do is make sure you have all the left-handed bats. But they did go and get Lars Nootbaar. Maybe not the biggest trade, maybe not the most important or impactful. But fun fact, he did trademark his name for a protein bar. So maybe we'll get that out here in Arizona, Bugs.
Can't wait to have Lars Nootbaars out.
These guys are like, well, we don't have to trade anything to get Corbin Burns back. We didn't have to make any moves to get Justin Martinez. Like, yeah, okay, but they're all injured. They're all hurt and things stink. Like, I hate that as a reason to not make moves. And frankly, that might be the narrative with some other teams, because there were 50 trades that happened just today. There were a billion trades that happened. I hear
Tarek Skubal just got traded. We got to stop.
And I'm like, and I just do this, and then the guy who's the
host
kind of keeps going, and he goes,
no, just stop. Tarek Skubal, we're cutting everything. We're going live.
And then I'm just standing there, and I'm like, hands are up. I'm like, huh? And 30 seconds later, we go live on CBS Sports HQ for the Skubal breakdown. Luckily, great get. River Ryan is a solid get. This isn't the greatest trade on the planet.
Should be pieces for a long time.
But people are expecting the return for what Juan Soto got. But this is a 2-month rental. This is the best prospect that was traded with Zaire Hope. And
our boy Barwood sent me this shirt a long time ago, the sell shirt for the A's owners, right? The Pirates made some moves, but the Marlins cut payroll. The Rockies didn't trade guys. Like, there are plenty of teams that could have pushed a little bit more. Seattle couldn't have got this done for Skubal. Like, they don't need pitching, but they could have got it done. You know what I mean?
The only
Braves
one
couldn't make this happen, right?
So you do get into like what the teams have. What I thought was interesting was I don't know if you saw the Phillies offer was Gage Wood, Justin Crawford, and something else. And I was like,
pretty good.
That's actually pretty strong. I still don't know if it's higher than, because like Hope is close to the major leagues. I mean, Crawford is a major leaguer, but I think his offensive profile's down. Gage Wood could be better than River Ryan, but River Ryan stuff plus numbers. I mentioned on leading off 101 stuff plus. I believe his sinker was a 112 stuff plus. His curve and fastball were 108 and 109. So like, he's a good stuff plus monster. He just needs to get healthy. He could be a mid rotation piece. But I would agree that's still not there. And then every other offer wasn't there. The Brewers didn't want to give up Logan Henderson or Luis Pena. Okay, then you're not competitive. The Braves, I'm not sure they had the pieces to do it. And the Rays never do. Nobody ponied up. No one was willing to pony up for it. And I think that's kind of the dumb side of it. If the Red Sox wanted Skubal, I mean, do you really want to trade Franklin Arias for a rental? No. But again, the Dodgers had the ability to do it because Zaire Hope would be a number one in so many other systems, but he was like the fifth in theirs. They have like literally two other outfielders ranked higher, and you could argue James Tibbs. So Skubal's going to absolutely dominate for this Dodgers team. And I don't know if you heard me mention this before, but I think this could, like, in the babyest of ways, maybe speak to the Dodgers having like maybe a little bit more concern about Ohtani's leg and him being able to pitch in the regular season.
Could be, but the price wasn't exorbitant. So I think even if Shohei was pitching, they probably wouldn't care. But that begs the question here. Okay, so I don't think Shohei's pitching again until maybe the playoffs, right? Like if he does, it's going to be for like an inning, 2 innings.
I think it's in like September. I think it'll be like 2 or 3 outings, little stretch in September.
Just warm him up for the playoffs to pitch, and even then it might be more as an opener and stuff in the playoffs if he pitches like 2 or 3 innings. But who else? Like, okay, so Snell comes back, Shohei comes back. What does this rotation look like? Sheehan just immediately goes to the bullpen.
Oh yeah, he goes to Japan. There you go. Roki, I think, could go. Robleski's the one I don't think you can take out. So I think if Ohtani's not in there, it's Yamamoto, Skubal, Glasnow, Snell, and Robleski. That's the 5 right there.
Still working on the way back too.
If you would like to have a 6-man rotation, you could put Roki in there. If Glasnow is like really halted back, then Roki can be in that side of the rotation. And you got just all the flexibility in the world. All that actually matters here is when you put out Yamamoto, Sale, and Skubal. Snell and Skubal. Like that 3 is just ridiculous. Then whatever ordering of other pitchers you want to do, it's they're the new evil empire, man. They made it happen.
Who are the starters for the Tigers now?
Rotation, Boggs. It looks like he'll be strong side and Goldie will be short side.
Yeah, platoon. Kind of disappointed we didn't see maybe Goldie get out of New York for playing time, but good bench off the bat, good bench against lefty, or good hitter against lefty. So why would they? But yeah, I think this definitely hurts Garcia.
I'm hoping. Let's take a look at Luis Garcia, because I think there's the potential that he could be a guy that could stay. How has he hit lefties this year? Let's see. He is. Oh man, he's barely played. I didn't realize it. 55 at bats versus lefties. He's hitting only 218. Low strikeout rate. He's not walking. He's got a couple homers. I don't know. I just don't know if like they're going to look at this. I mean, also look at the crazy pull heavy side on the spray chart. Which is going to be great in New York. But between and I guess Ben Rice is not going to probably play catcher. So it's going to be like those two platooning. And by the way, the other, since we're here, the Yankees also acquired today Jaleo Ramos, which I thought was a great addition. It's one of those where it's just like, I want to tell you this is awesome, but I'm a little bit worried the platoon's going to take off a little bit. We had a couple pitching moves, quite a few pitching moves. Luis Castillo went to the White Sox for Nolan Jones, Sarah Anthony Dominguez, and Boston Smith. Freddie Peralta went to the Rays for a collection of prospects, and Kevin Gossman went to the Cubs. These were some earlier trades between, I think Castillo might have been Saturday night, if I remember. And then between that time and this morning, Kevin Gossman, Peralta, and Luis Castillo. Who do you like most making that change? Like, which pitcher are you buying in on their new destination?
Probably Gossman, just because Castillo and Freddie have had issues this year, right? So I like Gossman going to the Cubs. I know the ballpark's a little worse, but Toronto's not a great pitching environment either. I like these guys getting to new situations because they've struggled in Luis Castillo and Freddie Peralta, but I don't know. Are we really convinced that Freddie Peralta is just going to be a much better pitcher going to the Rays? Maybe they think they know what the issue is. Same thing with Luis Castillo. Luis Castillo had a couple good starts going into like the trade deadline. So, nice for him. So he doesn't get involved in the weirdness that is Seattle. Right, and what they're going to do in that whole weird piggyback thing. That's
moment where I'm totally loving Adele going to Cleveland.
Yeah, Arise is weird because didn't he say he doesn't want to play second?
No, he says
right, and then you have at first, You have Manzardo, Lowe, and Hoskins, which is weird. David Fry in there, some mix of the util as well. And so the outfield gets real crowded real fast. So because DeLauder right now is DHing, but I would assume he goes back to the outfield if they're gonna, platoon one of these power hitting first basemen. So that does just get, I don't know, just gets a little weirder. That's all.
So I pulled up ballpark factors with the rolling average over the last 3 years, and Cleveland's about dead middle here. And this is going to also, probably have some actual home run factors. They are 5th worst for homers, but they also just don't get a lot of homers for right-handed hitters.
Right.
But it's also just considering the overall ballpark factor. When you take in the Angels were 9th best for from a home run perspective. And then if you do overall ballpark factors, which is probably a little bit more important, they actually were pretty close. They're relatively, close on that if you care about that stuff for Joe Adell. So I think it's just a good spot for him, a winning place with, a guy like Jose Ramirez hitting around him, just a lot more contact potential.
Where do you think he hits? They roster resource has him at 7.
Oh, no, I was going to say 5. Well, then what's the lineup then?
Quan, Ramirez, DeLauder, Bazana, and then Manzardo they have at 5, but they have him platooning, and switching in between him and Hoskins, and they added Lowe. So
no, I like Bazana hitting 4, but he's a lefty, and then going to Adell at 5. I think that makes sense. And then you could have Lowe hitting 6 or Manzardo. What's that?
I think I just have everybody move down a spot here. Like I probably hit Jose 3, but they like him higher. They just So I think they have him at 7 here. I think between 5 and 7 is probably somewhere because I don't think he gets behind Rocchio. And then they're platooning center field and catcher. So
I would be shocked if he's not hitting 5, if I'm being honest with you. Like 6 at worst. Like if he was hitting 7 or 8, that would be.
I think it depends on how streaky he is because he's super streaky. So, if he's hitting well, he'll probably hit high. And if he's in a slump, he's going to hit down at 7 probably. But I think 7 is the worst he could hit. So,
yeah. The next bucket. So we're going to go to this next bucket. These were 4 trades that happened today that I think they're not quite as big name. There's one that is a big name, but these were kind of the later trades in here. I wanted to talk about Adley Rutschman. The Adley Rutschman trade, that seemed like a pretty dang big one. There's a lot of prospect side to talk about it. He was traded to the Boston Red Sox for 5 players, 3 prospects, 3 of which are all in the top 5 according to Pipeline. Anthony Aedson and Kyson Witherspoon shocked me. Also, Indy Azekar. They also traded Carlos Nevarez, which was very surprising. And then it's a player to be named later, all for Adley Rutschman. Rutschman has not even been close to himself. He does have another year of eligibility, though. I think that's probably key. He does look like, you can see here as I've got this up, from a profile perspective, I mean, the bat seems to be kind of coming back along a little bit. His hard hit rate is the highest of his career. His strikeout rate's the lowest of his career. His XBA, 274, that's about 25 spots higher. He's barreling. He's got the launch angle up. He's trying to pull the ball. And now you're going to go into an environment in Boston, which, I mean, let's look at ballpark factors here. If I can get back to that for left-handed. Well, I guess because he's a switch hitter. So I guess he could go on both sides of that. So if you look at overall ballpark factor, Baltimore is 4 and Boston is actually 5. But what you can see here is the distribution of homers for, that's really interesting though. Look at this. Baltimore is 1. Oh, no. Oh yeah, this is both. Let me do individual. So for right-handed hitters, let's see. Baltimore is a 99. So they are going to be bottom. Where the hell are they? They're like middle of the pack. They're like 16, and Boston is actually 23. So for right-handed hitters, that looks a little bit worse from a home run perspective. For left-handed hitters, Baltimore is actually number 4 because that's where they really strive, and Boston is number 7. So it's kind of similar, I guess, from a ballpark factor if you care about that. But he's going to be hitting between like Sedana and Willie Abreu. And I think just like, I guess from a both perspective, didn't it favor Baltimore a little bit? I don't know. I kind of like Boston, but they're next to each other. So overall factor, solid. I like the landing spot. They get an extra year of control on him. I just like him in Boston a whole lot. I think he can be a top 10 catcher rest of the way. But do you have any thoughts on
how much longer is he's on the IL right now, right?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, no, he's on the IL. Wrist inflammation, it says here on roster resource. So I wonder where he's going to hit when he comes back, or if he just comes back tomorrow, whatever they activate him. I'm assuming 6. Is Anthony Siegler really your starting second baseman for the Red Sox now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Tuning him and Sogard. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I like him moving to Boston. Boston, I think, is, just get him out of Baltimore. Whatever was happening there was not working this season. Doesn't have enormous splits from what I was seeing. Lefty versus righty is fine. So I think he's going to be okay there. Did he have a big, was he hitting at crap at home or anything? Adley? Why can't I get
a look here?
Pause for me?
Here I can
pulled up and it went away.
I can pull it up because it's on screen. Splits. He was
271 at home, 229 away. So
yeah,
but still good ballpark factors as you mentioned. So yeah, I just like him getting out of Baltimore. It felt like stuff was weird there for him. So
I actually think it'd be really interesting to hit. I mean, he has thrived if you look here, hitting 296 in the 5-hole. But I think he'd be 2 or 3 would be really great. Have Sedana hitting right around him, and like I said, Williard before. I'd love to see that. Wilson Contreras maybe hits 4 or 5 when healthy. So I just think this is a pretty good destination. I'm kind of down for this trade. The big pitchers that were traded, Robbie Ray was traded to San Diego. Also Casey Mize, we're going to add that in. Those were 2 big trades. Jose Soriano was traded to the Blue Jays. That was the Arjun Namala trade. And Foster Griffin was traded to the Guardians. The biggest return was actually Casey Mize. Casey Mize ended up netting, really shocked to me, netted Cash Mayfield, which that is a big return. That was the number 1 pitcher, probably the number 1 prospect in the Padres system. And they traded it for Casey Mize, who does have, I believe, 1 more year of control after this. It's a 270 average, 9.9 whip this year. His expected ERA is great. He was giving up less barreled contact, 25% K percentage. And I think the Casey Mize side, the Diamondbacks were heavily rumored around him, but they clearly were not able to do it because no one was giving up a Cash Mayfield for that. That's a huge get, and Preller does that. But Preller did a good job getting 2 rotation pieces to add to a team that desperately needed if they're going to compete. And Casey Mize has had some homer issues before. That looks like it could be mitigated in San Diego. It's super hitter friendly. Also, Robbie Ray, even though he has a couple of those weird moments, where things can kind of fall apart, he's just been consistently good. He's got a 3.08 ERA. Expected is over 4. His walks and strikeouts don't match up well, but he's going from a hitter-friendly environment to another hitter-friendly environment. So I thought these were super impressive. I think Casey Mize and Robbie Ray are in the upper tier of fantasy value, but I'm more excited about Casey Mize now in San Diego.
Yeah, like you mentioned, just cutting the homers down by going to San Diego is huge, and obviously a good get for the Tigers. So I really like that deal. Jose Soriano, the Blue Jays, I don't know. It was the first 6 weeks, 7 weeks, Jose Soriano was just cruising, and then he kind of hit a brick wall. So
a pile of garbage.
Yeah, I was surprised on the return that they got back for them. And I was also
surprised in what way?
You got Arjun Namala back for Jose Soriano. I was just surprised by that. So,
in what? I am still that was a great return or a bad return?
Bad return or good return for the Angels. I thought Soriano was going to be traded for less because look at the haul for Foster Griffin. I mean, I don't know these guys as well as you do, but it felt like the Foster Griffin trade was a little light. I don't know.
The Foster Griffin one was totally I think the Soriano one makes sense because Soriano has a couple years of control, has high strikeouts, but bad walk issues.
Yeah, if you can trade him out, great. But he is it was a 6-week stretch only for Soriano.
No, right? I totally agree. But I'm saying,
yeah.
An interesting note, again, this is Lance who always talks about, or I think this was Lance, had said that Mike Maddox specifically has this ability where he wants players to throw a lot of four-seam fastballs. That will probably decrease in Toronto. They will want him to change that. And I would just, as a test case, look at Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease was a similar pitcher. High Ks, high walks, was able to find it. Maybe they can go the similar route and they're going to change his pitch mix a little bit. I might be interested in Soriano next year. I actually think that one is kind of similar in that, like, it's a good trade overall. They got like a really good young shortstop to build around. Maybe enables them to trade a Zach Neto in the offseason. And they gave away a controllable piece for Toronto for the future. It felt weird in general because they traded Kevin Gossman. So I was like, what? Like, why are you trading Kevin Gossman? But the Foster Griffin one, that's the one I actually couldn't come to terms with. To be honest with you,
he is a rental. So
he is a rental, but like, I guess I'm looking, I sometimes have that Diamondback lens on. I was so impressed with Foster Griffin. 3.06 ERA, 1.07 whip this year. I don't think the Ks tell the best story, but 22% K percentage, 5% walk rate. And I thought the pitch mix has been really fascinating. You can see he's throwing like 7 different pitches. None of the top 4 have like an over 230 batting average against. They're strong whiffs. He's just said, you mentioned this going over and playing wherever it was, Korea or Japan, that he had like built up, lots more shapes and having more pitches. You had to be a lot more of a movement pitcher to get strikeouts. I look at the return and I'm like, the Diamondbacks couldn't have offered something like that. Like, this isn't anything that impressive. The Diamondbacks traded Daniel Egan and a player to be named for Lars Nootbaar. Like, we couldn't have pulled out like maybe a low-end minor leaguer and 2 pitchers to do. I thought the return for Foster Griffin, even in that, is it a true rental? Is he a full-on free agent next year?
Yeah, free agent.
I just thought that would have been a really good guy to go after. And that's why I really think the Guardians had a really great trade deadline. I loved the idea of getting Adele, and I love the idea of them going out and picking up Foster Griffin to put in that rotation with freaking Gavin Williams, who, by the way, 5 straight games outings with 10 strikeouts or more. That's insane. Like, this is the perfect type of pitcher to get. So the Guardians made these moves that seem kind of like weird and off, but they totally work for the team context.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you're right. And they're in the last wild card spot right now. So, got to turn it on. They're still in the fight for the division, right? They're not that far behind the White Sox, but I think the Nationals a week ago
have the division.
No, the White Sox do. The guards are
yeah, you're right.
White Sox are 59 and 52.
They're 3 games back from the White Sox right now.
I mean, there's a lot of teams in the wild card hunt here for the AL2. The Twins are a game behind. The Rangers are a game and a half. Mariners 2, Orioles 2.5, Tigers 2.5. A bunch of these teams all just sold off. But I was also surprised that Rangers didn't do much. But the Nationals, they've lost 5 straight. I don't know if a week ago they're doing these trades to sell, because they were, right up in a wild card spot, and now they're 4.5 back after dropping 5 straight. So I get good on Cleveland for going after Foster Griffin. I think that's a nice move for them.
Yeah, I do too. I really like that move, and that was specifically, I think the Soriano one happened a little bit earlier, but Rutschman, Robbie Ray, Connor Griffin, Casey Mize, that all happened. Those were kind of the big, if I use leading off as like a timeline, that was like the big, from leading off until the trade deadline, the 5 hours, those were like the big names that were moved, but there were a lot of other moves. So going down into this next bucket, you had Liam Hicks, and I'm going to just make like little stops at some of these trades. Liam Hicks was traded to the Rays for a couple minor leaguers. Marcelo Mayer was traded to the Giants for Eric Miller. That one was one of the shocks. I got to be honest with you. We'll talk about that in a second. Where did I go here? Lars Nootbaar, as mentioned, was traded to our D-backs for Daniel Egan. I think it was Ruben Santana. Was it Sandro Santana? I thought it was Ruben Santana I saw. And a player to be named later.
I saw Ruben Santana first, and then I saw Sandro Santana.
I don't even know who Sandro Santana is, but it would make sense they'd want another pitcher. Dalton Varsho was traded to the Astros, and the Blue Jays got Spencer Arrighetti. That's actually a really good price for a rental. And then Taylor Ward was traded to Seattle for a handful of bullpen relief pitchers. That was the theme, by the way. It was just these like bullpen future arms that every team was trading for their minor league system. Teams are just looking for depth for guys that could potentially get out there soon. But let's start with the Mayer thing. Regardless of how unsuccessful Marcelo Mayer has been, which it is not hard to argue that he has been very unsuccessful. 228 last year, 220 this year. The profile looks bad. Really good bat speed, but I mean, look at everything else. Just if you want to savant it for a second, crappy barrel, crappy hard hit. Expected is worse. He's not slugging the ball. You know, I mean, I guess there's like some decent, like he doesn't K and he walks a little bit. But I mean, he couldn't pull the ball in the air, 9.8%. That sucked. I'm going to guess his zone contact. I mean, it was it was a little above average, 85.2, but he wasn't doing anything with it. There was no quality of contact. I think that's the point. But he's 23 years old and they gave up on him. And I said this on the live stream, and I'll just throw this to you, man. It's not apples to apples, but this feels a little Dansby Swanson for Shelby Miller, like, in that they traded Marcelo Mayer, gave up on him for Eric Miller, who Eric Miller is a solid relief pitcher, but like you gotta trade a like long-term 23-year-old shortstop with control for, I mean, this is a pretty nice looking profile for Eric Miller.
Nice,
but you got to trade Mayer for this, for a left-handed relief pitcher. It just doesn't add up to me. And I'm worried the Red Sox are going to feel the repercussions of a screw up of a trade long-term.
Definitely. I mean, this is one of those trades that you look back in like 6 years and you're like, can you believe like didn't Yordan Alvarez get traded for Josh Fields or something? Right.
That was a little different because like those guys were, and Dansby was as well. These were like Yordan was like
6
low.
years away.
They were low in the minor league system. The same thing happened to Fernando Tatis Jr. when he was traded for, oh God, who was it? James Shields. No, James Shields. Mayer did make it to the majors and failed. And I think that's kind of leading a little bit to it, that he hadn't grown. He had 2 years of kind of failure where sometimes there's a couple, I don't want to say it's 100%, but there's a couple players that got traded today that have a little bit of that like vibe of, you might regret this in 5 years that you traded Yoniel Hernandez, San Diego, or you might regret that you traded Alexander Frias, Brewers. But this is different because Mayer made it to the majors.
Would you have felt the same way if the D-back traded Jordan Lawler for a reliever like this?
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah, I mean, but I think, Jordan Lawler has been up and, either not had success at the dish or not been able to stay on the field. So I think people are getting frustrated with him too. I think that's kind of what we see with Marcelo Mayer here. It's like they just go, okay, we need a left-handed pitcher. This guy's not doing anything for us. So trade him away at 23. I agree with you. I think it's a short-sighted trade, but it's a, fix this bullpen, which is the theme of today.
It's just part of the critical side. It's like, who's the guy they gave the contract extension to? Christian Campbell, failure. Who are the guys that they trade out? Kyle Harrison, succeeding. Get rid of Rafael Devers, succeeding. It's like there's something wrong. And this might be fine. Marcelo Mayer may be a huge bust, but he's 23 years old and has what? Like, let me go back to him. Like, how many career at bats does he? 330 at bats? Like, that's half of one full season. They didn't develop him. And that's, I think, the critical side of what is going on with. They did not, and they do not develop these guys properly. Everything seems to be jacked up and wired wrong. But they get to make this move in favor of saying, well, we want to win now. And Eric Miller gets to go into a bullpen, which, by the way, I will tell you this. Obviously, Mason Miller is the best closer in baseball. I don't have a lot of guys. I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know. There's a lot of guys where when you see them come out, you're like, well, this game's over. Mason Miller has that. I think Aroldis Chapman has that. I see Aroldis Chapman come out and I'm like, game's done. It's over. And there's not that many players out there. And this is the weirdest stat. Did you know that Brian Bayo was one of the league's worst starting pitchers? I don't have the exact stat. Someone pulled this up. He was statistically one of like the worst. He's been statistically one of the best relievers since moved into a relief role. So now you've got a solid bullpen, and now you just added like this demon of a lefty and Eric Miller, who's not going to get saves, but he gets to go in, with Whitlock and the rest of the group. So you've got kind of a monster
Chapman,
bullpen.
Whitlock, Miller, and Bayo now.
You got a monster bullpen. You've got a really good starting rotation that maybe could get Garrett Crochet back. Probably not. And then now you've added Adley Rutschman. Like, I see the storyline of kind of what you're doing. It's just, it's a high cost. They gave up Marcelo Mayer and Conley early, and they have like not much to speak for it. So I think there's a lot of critical side to it, but I
agree that the Red Sox, they're pricing themselves out of a good return by trading these guys, right? Specifically guys that have a long term. Like, do they get to keep Eric Miller for a long time? Is he on a long deal?
That's a really good question. Are you looking or am I?
Yeah, I'm looking. It's 2030, so they get him through 2029.
Yeah, that does kind of, because he's got some closing ability. Like I guess that does change a little bit. If they feel that he could be a closer in the future, how many more years of Chapman do they have? Funny thing happened in our 3-sport dynasty. It's a 16-teamer. I'm like the worst this year. I've had injuries and my team has just constructually not been really great, but I've got a bunch of big pieces. Like this or not, I don't think I'm a far off team. I think because I was just winning like 2 years ago. I had 4 different teams in our league trying to get Chapman, all low ball offers. And I decided not to do it because I think Chapman's coming back next year and he's going to be right back in. He's going to be one of the best closers in baseball. And everybody wanted me to trade him off because it's like, oh, you just want to get a piece for Chapman. It's like, I don't think he's retiring next year. I think he's going to be the closer for this team and great again. And if I go down this road, maybe I'll trade him next year, but I'm not trading him for scraps for this season. So that's my approach with it. But long-term, Eric Miller might be an option if Chapman's only got like 1 more year left.
Yeah. Could turn out to be a good trade, but when you're trading for relievers, so many of them flame out so fast, and then your prospect is with somebody else now. So we'll see.
Yeah. The other ones like Hicks, I think it's fine. The only problem is Hicks could go into some super rotation with the Rays, but he was kind of, I guess, doing a little bit of that. I think Nootbaar's in a really interesting spot. I guess they do have like just a lot of like outfielders in general that are taking up space, but I don't think Nootbaar even needs to be. I don't know if you've looked at Nootbaar's profile lately.
I have, yeah.
As my guy.
I saw you talking about it. It's pretty nice.
234, but you've got 9 barrel, 51% hard hit rate, average exit velocity looks good. He ain't chasing, he ain't whiffing, he's squaring the crap out of the ball, and he needs to pull the ball a little bit more. But hopefully, this is another one. Let's go look and see if there's any. Not that it really matters, but let's see if there's any ballpark factors for this lefty going from St. Louis to Arizona. So overall ballpark factor, Diamondbacks are 12. St. Louis was 3rd worst in baseball overall.
Might be
so
nice.
That's huge factor there. If we look at home run factors, let's see if there's any difference. Diamondbacks are actually, the Cardinals are the worst in Major League Baseball. I didn't realize that. Diamondbacks are not that much better, but it's also factored a little bit.
Might be a little bit about the roster for the Cardinals too.
Yeah. It definitely might be. But overall, if you just want to look at overall ballpark factors, Diamondbacks being like middle of the pack and Cardinals being one of the absolute worst is like a, higher offensive profile for a guy that is, he's barreling the crap, or he's hitting the crap out of the ball right now really hard. He's going to get to go play with Corbin Carroll. And by the way, he has another year of control, which I love if there's baseball. The only thing that's going to suck about that is if they hold out the whole season, they haven't registered a full season. So then those guys would be controllable for another season or whatever. But I guess I look at any of these guys that extra year of control and I go, oh, and then I go, oh.
God, I didn't even think of that. You know, all those contracts getting pushed back an extra year if there is no baseball at all.
But what's even kind of worse, though, is imagine if they hold out for like 2 months and they have a shortened season. Well, then you're only going to get this extra year of a guy in some shortened season. That kind of blows a little bit.
Yeah, really does blow.
Yeah, but I don't. Ward, I think, is a worse spot. Varsho's indifferent. I like Nootbaar. I like Hicks.
By the way, the Cardinals are 24th in the bigs and homers with 113. D-backs 29th. 107 only,
and better ballpark factor overall. So hopefully,
Milwaukee dead last in homers, 101.
Yeah, if you think about the team, like Yelich hasn't really popped off. Like, who's the big home run hitter? Churio doesn't really pop. I think they're just a bunch of like 8 to 14
doubles hitters
type of just a bunch of Corbin
and
Carroll
strikeout 13 with Mizorowski. Right?
Yeah, we'll see. But the Diamondbacks didn't, they didn't go in after what they needed to do, which was get a first baseman, one of the all-time worst of all time, and they got.
But now Tim Tawa can play first. See, Welsh, it's like getting 2 guys, right? You get an outfielder to cover a spot that you need, or a DH, and then you can move Tim Tawa to first. Win-win, double win.
I would like to see Lourdes do some first. I feel like he's done that before. Like, just go put Lourdes over at first. Do anything to get him some playing time. Then your outfield is what? It's Carroll. Who am I forgetting? It's Waldschmidt, Carroll, and Nootbaar. Like, I'd love that. Get all the rest of the guys to do it. All right, so that's that bucket. The next bucket, there are some hitters. Britton Doyle went to the White Sox for a couple prospects. Nate Lowe went to the Guardians. That wasn't much of a trade. Josh Smith went to the Blue Jays. Bo Naylor was traded to the Brewers. And then there were a bunch of other pitching ones in this little bucket. Dustin May was traded to the Brewers. That was a really big. I think they also traded, you said 4 Jojo Romero, but I think it's May and Romero went to the Brewers.
Oh,
so they got some bullpen help and a starting pitcher, but they gave up 2 skyrockety prospects in Alexander Frias and Josiah Ragsdale, which was surprising. Clay Holmes, the Cubs got Clay Holmes and Braxton Garrett. They also got Ryan Zefferjan. If you look at Holmes, Garrett, and Zefferjan, great return. They got rotation. They got, I think if you look at it, they actually traded for 3 new rotation pieces, Holmes, Braxton, and Gossman. And then Zefferjan could be a closer. But, dude, they traded off Moises Ballesteros, Jonathan Long, Jefferson Rojas, and they traded away Mark McGuire's kid and Mason McGuire. Not much of a thing, but Jonathan Long, Moises Ballesteros, and Jefferson Rojas were all seen as pieces that were going to help the Cubs, and they traded them off for all these pieces. It makes them better. It makes them better. I think this is a plus if Clay Holmes can be healthy. I like all these pitchers in here. Zefferjan might be a speculative closer option as well, but they definitely traded out a haul.
I think Palencia is coming back somewhat soon. So it's still going to be Palencia, I think, as soon as he comes back.
Yeah,
but I mean,
if he's healthy, yeah.
But I mean, this bullpen is now much, much better. As you mentioned, you don't have to go with Jacob Webb or Trent Thornton closing, nor Thielbar or whoever. You can move Zefferjan in there, or and then Palencia comes back. And the rotation is deep. They've got 6 guys on here right now.
Yeah,
Boyd, Assad, and Imanaga, Peterson, Colin Ray, and Gossman. So
yeah, no, I think the rotation thing is like that's the game changer for them. Like this makes them more competitive, especially when you take a look at the Brewers, who have obviously been super successful, but they practically made no moves. They did trade for Antonio Senzatella, which does help their bullpen, but very little else. You had, let's see, Jeff Hoffman going to the Twins. And I guess I forgot about this and I buried this. This belongs in a much higher tier. But maybe the biggest winner, I think, of the trade deadline was Luke Weaver going to the Pittsburgh Pirates. So this would be, to me, this is in the lines of, I should have brought this up to the Luis Arraez, Joe Adell range, because he goes from a setup man in New York, and I believe he's going to be the closer. Orico definitely pushed back, thinking they might still go to Soto. They did trade for Kirby Yates. This is just the guy. They traded a pretty big prospect in Sammy Stafura, but also he's a knockout guy. 27% K percentage, low walks, good ERA. Here's the only negative, and I talked myself into it, Boggs, live on that live stream, is that the Pittsburgh Pirates have definitely had spots where they've blown these games in the 7th or 8th. They didn't even get a chance to close it out.
Oh, so fireman.
And Luke Weaver is one of the better guys
More
in baseball at
fireman.
being a fireman. He did it in New York. I think he's done it with Arizona. He's done it in a lot of different places. And the fireman is the guy that comes in the highest leverage situation. That could be the 7th, the 8th, or the 9th. That's where I'm wrong about him being a top 10 closer rest of season, if that's the case. But I think he's the best reliever in the bullpen. I think he gets the majority of saves, and I am buying on him right now. And I think he's one of the biggest winners.
Well, I think to improve that, which I think, is why Luke Weaver is still going to be my biggest riser here. They added Kirby Yates. They added Bakar as well from the Marlins. So, I think there's enough. And Doval, they traded for a couple days ago. They got 4 bullpen pieces. This is what I said in the chat on leading off. I'm like, we couldn't trade for one of these 4 dudes.
Well, Doval did immediately give up a homer in his first game back, but your point stands.
Yeah,
that they went and
they got 4 new guys, right? Is the point.
Any guy would be the closer for the Diamondbacks.
Yes, any of them would be. And, I think those other 3 guys, Doval, Yates, and Bakar, will all, keep it so that Luke Weaver doesn't have to have that fireman job. Now, if Doval gives up another bomb and all of that and he's useless, then sure, that they could go back to using Weaver if this becomes more of a problem. But I think the idea is Weaver's the closer. The rest of these guys figure it out so that they don't have to be firemen that much. We don't want a whole brigade here.
The final crew of trades, we've got Doval went to the Pirates, as mentioned. Jamison Tyon to the Blue Jays after he was DFA'd. Dean Kremer went to the Twins. Some of these were a couple days ago. Lane Thomas went to the Braves as a little bit of help. Chris Bubich went to the Dodgers. That was late in the draft process. Probably going to be a good bullpen piece. Victor Vodnik to the Marlins. Could be a closer. Actually, quite a few guys we'll talk about in a second that could have closing spots. Huascar Brazoban went to the White Sox. Brent Sutter was traded to the Braves, by the way, for Nacho Alvarez. Nacho Alvarez going to the Angels. Brooks Raley went to the Phillies. I mentioned Santella. Joey Bart was to the White Sox, so they got a little bit more catching help. Tyler Wells to the Rays. Kirby Yates to the Pirates. You mentioned Bakar and Caleb Ferguson to the Cardinals. I believe that's the majority of the trade deadline moves. Talking about bullpen for a second, not only do you have Luke Weaver, who looks like he can jump in and be a closer right out the gates. Jeff Hoffman was traded to the Twins. He could take over there. Brazoban is maybe more of a setup guy, but there's always a potential because they get weird with Grant Taylor sometimes. And Victor Vodnik could get some save opportunities because the Marlins have kind of been.
Fairbanks has had a bad year, dude. Now, to his credit, he's been much better recently. 4 saves in a row without giving any up. A lot of pitches on that one on Sunday, 21 pitches. And his ERA is still up over 6. But I think Vodnik is like, okay, look, which, by the way, not his last game, but the game before that, he did blow a save, Vodnik. But at least he has experience. You know, he has experience in the back end of the bullpen. So if Fairbanks starts to suck again, you could just put Vodnik in that spot. So
it's crazy. All right. So winners and losers. You got 2. Let's do like 2 winners and 2 losers. I think the losers are kind of easy. I think the losers are the Brewers at number 1 and the Braves. That's going to be mine. I think there's a little part of me that wanted to see the Yankees because I thought they could have done more, but that's not really fair. I thought the Mariners were really weird and like, what the hell were they doing? You know, why did they go get Ward and they sold off Castillo?
Padres adding 2 starters, I think, is nice for them.
Yeah. Oh, but we're on the losers though. The losers.
Oh, we're on the losers.
Yeah, the losers. So I didn't understand what they were doing. So to me, I think the Brewers and the Braves are the 2 that just like jump out to me as the most obvious losers. But I don't know if you feel there's someone different.
I think, yeah. I mean, it's hard to not say the Brewers, right? Because not only did you not get Tarek Skubal, you also let the Dodgers get him. So I think the Brewers are probably a fairly large loser. And then after that, I probably like, what did the AL West do? The Astros didn't do much. They got Varsho. The Mariners added a piece here and there. I was kind of surprised. Like, no one pushed their chips in for this division. Like, if you're the Mariners, I guess they got Taylor Ward too. They did a couple moves more than the Astros. I guess I would say the Astros and the Diamondbacks probably not adding any bullpen.
You know, I actually got to point out that's a great call. The Rangers were the team. That's another one. They were telling everybody, every report, the Rangers are going to sell off all the pieces.
But they've lost 5 in a row going in.
No.
But
you didn't get. Let me finish. Like, look at they're going to trade everybody. It's going to be Jacob deGrom. It's going to be Evaldi. It's going to be. They didn't do anything. They didn't sell. They didn't buy. The Astros didn't really do anything. The Mariners, what were they even doing? That I didn't even ever comprehend that. Let me look at this. I think that is the one division that is probably the least active. Let's see. The East had, I mean, the Phillies were.
And why didn't the Angels trade Detmers? Why didn't they trade Neto? Like, rebuild this system, sink to the bottom, and come back up. Why didn't the A's move pieces? I guess they don't have many pieces to move. But
well, they were also like, yeah, I know. I see what you're saying. But no, you nailed that. The AL West is maybe the thing. They didn't do anything, and everything's up for grabs. That's weird. That's a super.
The Braves are also like, you have an 8-game lead.
Yeah, that's why.
But the Phillies made some moves, right? Like, maybe move something.
One move, but
yeah,
I thought they were ridiculous to not get starting pitching help. So I think AL West was probably the biggest disappointment. Then I would say the NL East, because you did have sellers. And you didn't really have only the Phillies were buyers, so those kind of stand out. What about on wins then, though, for you? Like, what was if you could pick 2 teams that you really like the moves that they made?
I think the Padres getting 2 pieces back is great, and I really like what the Pirates did with the bullpen. Like, just shore up that back end. Like, they're not there yet, but they are within striking distance of a wild card spot, the Pirates. So, they're never in this opportunity post All-Star break. How many games are they out of the wild card right now?
Who's that?
The Bucks, Pirates.
The Pirates, they're 14
3.5
in the division.
3.5 games back. So it's not impossible, but I mean, you do have the Padres, Marlins, Pirates, Cardinals, Nationals, and Reds all within 5.5 games of the Phillies.
Well, the Diamondbacks one was so critical. Remember, I think I mentioned it. It was that series. if the Pirates would have won that final game, they would have owned the series against the Diamondbacks. And that would have been like if they were to have gotten to a point where they were fighting against the Diamondbacks for a wild card spot, that would have been critical. I agree with you on the Padres. To be different, I think the Cubs really retooling their entire rotation and just selling off those pieces that weren't doing anything. I thought that was impressive. And I'm going to say the Guardians. I thought the Guardians did a good job of like finding the different spots. They found a power bat, and then they found a starting pitcher to go in the rotation. That's what I want to see. I want to see some diversity in what these teams do. Not that I don't like, the Cubs getting 3 straight starting pitchers, but if you've got a team that's really good, this is the Brewers thing to me. If you got a team that's really good, but like, could you justifiably shore up 4 spots? Yes. Like, do you trust Abner Uribe and McGill full on? Not really. I guess they got Senzatella. Do you trust the back end of the rotation? You shouldn't. They didn't really get anything. And then could you use a little bit more depth as far as your hitters go? Yeah, you probably could have. A power bat. You said the Brewers were like almost last in the league in homers.
They were last.
They didn't improve on their bats. They didn't improve on their rotation, and they just brought in a piece in the bullpen. I think the Brewers are the number one. What are you doing? They're my biggest losers for sure. Now fantasy wins. I had mentioned my top 3, or I think I had 4 on leading off, but I thought Luke Weaver was number 1. That was my favorite fantasy plus. Number 2 was Casey Mize. I love that. And this is something I didn't mention, but Joshua Baez might be one of the biggest beneficiaries with Lars Nootbaar being traded. There aren't a ton, like, I guess that's a missing piece of what we did here. If you look at like all the major guys that were traded, and then you go, okay, who are some prospects that could benefit now that some of these guys are out? I think Joshua Baez is the number 1 player because he was just blocked before. And now with Nootbaar out of there, it's a clear path for him. And then I think like with the Tigers, maybe like a Jackson Jobe might be able to come up. I'm just not sure if there's anybody else. Oh, Cole Carrick is another beneficiary because of because of Britton Doyle being traded. But I would say Joshua Baez is like my number 3 because I think that's a guy that it clearly has space now to come up. So that's my top 3. Do you have any extra additions?
Yeah, I'm looking at Josh Baez's numbers: 32 bombs and 17 swipes. Good.
Well, look at his strikeout rate, though. That's been the problem.
What is it? I didn't see it.
Like 33%.
30. It's actually 30%. He has lowered it, I guess, a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Weaver number 1, like you said. I think Casey Mize is number 2. I like Gossman going to the Cubs. I thought that was a good move. I like Adele depending on where he hits, like we talked about in that Guardians lineup as well.
Adele's
so I think those are the ones that I probably like the most.
Yeah, my next level is like I like Foster Griffin, I like Adele, and I like Helio Ramos. Like Helio Ramos hitting in New York, especially if he could not play too much platoon. I mean, do they really need to even think about platooning him with Dominguez and stuff? I don't know. I don't know if that's even the plan, by the way, but I would assume you would like strong and short side platoon those guys. But I just want to see Helio Ramos eat there. So I think that could be a big beneficiary. And I think that's going to do it for the episode. There's some other stuff that happened this weekend. Shout out to Max Clark for being an absolute G. He was
Kyle Freeland with a complete game was pretty impressive. Yeah.
Did you know that was the first complete game for the Rockies since 2022?
Who did the last one?
Probably Kyle Freeland. I guess it was his first career. I don't know who did the last one. That's a good question. But it was 2022 was the last
I'm honestly surprised it was that recent. I
was going to say Mike Hampton. Like, if you would have asked me that, I'd been like Ubaldo Jimenez.
I would have said Ubaldo Jimenez is exactly who I was thinking. So.
Yeah, those are the only Colorado pitchers I can even think of. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some stuff that happened over the weekend. But you know what? We can save that for the later in the week episode where we do some of the breakdowns. We also get to look at some of the repercussions of these guys. I believe Skubal, I think he's pitching on Tuesday, his first outing. I believe Luis Castillo's first outing is on Thursday. So we're in the 3 or 4 day marker where we're going to see all these trade guys starting to pop up and any inherent prospects that get called up like a Joshua Baez.
Can't wait to hate watch the Dodgers in the playoffs again. So
I did say, and I think everyone would just fully agree with this. This is the biggest. If you don't win the World Series, you're a disappointment you've ever seen in your life. Like,
yes,
they can't get to the World Series and play a really good competitive 2 games or 3, or like win 2 or 3 and then lose. They have to win the whole thing, and there's literally no other range. Like the Diamondbacks, everyone was like, "Oh, good job, you got to the World Series," and blah blah blah. No, you have to win it all. You might need to sweep. the team
Well-
too. You might not be able to go to 7.
I would just win the World Series. Like you won it in 7 last year, just win the World Series if you get there. I don't care how many games it goes to. But I'll say this, which would be a bigger disappointment, when the Lakers lost when they added Karl Malone and GP and everybody to the Pistons, or this? This is worse.
Yeah, I think this would be the all-time. I mean, dude, Ohtani, Freeman, Betts, Kyle Tucker, Yamamoto, Snell, Tarek Skubal. Like, it's a no. Edwin Diaz. We forget they brought in Edwin Diaz. Dude, did you see that stat? Since 2022, did you hear who the 5 best ERAs are? And it's not Dylon, and Dylon. The 5 best ERAs since, I think I can remember them, since 2022. You ready?
Yamamoto, Ohtani, Skubal, and who?
Tarek Skubal 1.
Snell.
Skeens 2.
Skeens. Okay. They'll get him next
Yamamoto,
year.
Ohtani, and Snell. Those are the 5. 4 of the 5 best ERAs of the last 4 years come from the 4 Dodgers in this rotation. They have to win every single ounce of this, and it will be a hilarious piece to carry into an offseason that we're being told about salary caps and fair play and all this type of stuff, and the Dodgers their $1 billion team is going to just keep winning. What do you say? Money doesn't buy happiness, but it buys championships.
That's right.
And happiness. And women.
Lots of happiness.
And houses. Did I mention happiness? And buy me happiness. You can buy happiness over at inthisleague.com. Sign up today. Inthisleague.com. Support your boys. We've got the sheets. I got the prospect and dynasty sheets for you. Every month updates. We've got the group me rooms to hang out. Other sports are in there and all the things in between. Just be a part of the community. Have access to us and just know that you are supporting this podcast, which, gosh dang it, we love you when you do it. So inthisleague.com, if you would sign up today, we would be so gracious. All right, that's going to do it. Thanks for anybody that was hanging out with us, watching us. We decided to drop it live on the Patreon here and on the YouTube channel, so you can just watch us staring at you guys on the screen if you want. But that's going to do it for the episode. We'll be back later in this week. I don't believe any Bogman on leading off this week, but that'll be next week.
I'm off this week. Yeah.
You'll be out I'm out next Monday.
I'm going to host next Monday.
Yeah,
that's
Bogman's
right.
going to
get ready to watch the disaster.
You're going to
do
it.
It's going to be fun,
rock
everybody.
Yeah, there you go. Fun. All right, that's going to do it for the episode. That's Bogman. I'm Welsh. You guys have a fantastic one, and we will talk to you next time right here on In This League. Peace out, friends.
The In This League Podcast Network.